What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tailboard Talk. Big deal. I'm very excited to get going on these. I'll be doing them weekly, like I said before. 5 minutes or less, full 360, and a fast attack on one topic. A little too much jargon? A little bit too much jargon? You tell me. Let's get into it. So about a month ago, I did a blog, and it was called Becoming Resilient is a Challenge, Not a Threat. And it had talked about how to kind of increase your mental resilience and all that stuff. Go back and read it if you have the chance. But I cited a study in there that I want to go back into real fast because a lot of cool carryover that I didn't use in the blog. The name of the study was called The Effect of Challenge and Threat States on Performance, an Examination of Potential Mechanisms by Moore, Vine, Wilson, and Freeman. These guys took about 120 college kids and they divided them in half, and half of them they put into a threat state and half they put into a challenge state, and they gave them a 6-putt putting course to go through. And they measured a bunch of results. They measured their eye movement, they measured their motor function, they measured their putting kinematics, they measured their emotions through some self-reporting. And what they found out was pretty much what they thought. That the challenge state outperformed the threat state by far. A lower muscle activation, which led to increased performance because they weren't tight gripping the thing and way too rigid to make the putts. They had a lower perceived cognitive stress reflex. So they said, yeah, I'm a little bit anxious about it, but it's a good thing. It kind of motivates me to do better compared to the threat group, who was just freaked out the whole time. They had a quiet eye duration that was much longer than the threat group. So quiet eye is something that Vickers came up with in 2007. That's when it was noted in the study. And it's essentially when you're calm and focused on one thing and everything else kind of fades away. So your eyes are calm and they're focusing on the task at hand, and you focus on that until you make your move. Instead of being frantic and not feeling like you have enough information and look around for more, you're confident and you're going to look at this one thing, get all the information you can from it until it's time to make your move. So all these things got better when they were put in a challenge state versus a threat state. Now the way they did that was pretty interesting. It was through simple instruction. So the people in the challenge group, they said, hey, listen, it's 6 putts, no big deal. Even if you've never golfed before, which they made sure all these college students were novice golfers with no handicap and all that stuff. It was a study, it was regulated. They said it's no big deal, you're just going to do these 6 putts. If you do well, we'll pay you. You're not going to do poorly. Your friends did it before, they did fine. Have a good time. And then in the threat group, it was the opposite. They said your friends did terrible, you'll do terrible, there's no use in trying, but you have to do it. And if you do poorly enough, we're going to advertise how poorly you did. So 2 different states completely. The results were exactly what they thought, even in a short duration. So not a chronic threat state or a chronic challenge state. When they put them in a state right away and tested them, everything was improved in the challenge state. The kids in the challenge state felt more prepared, more able, and they performed at a higher level. So how does this carry over to first responders and us in general, right? Well, it has everything to do with how you perceive the tasks and the objectives in front of you, whether it be on the scene or office work or whatever you're doing. If you consider them as a threat to you or your safety or your credibility or whatever, even though you'll complete them, your performance will be much, much lower than if you perceive them as a challenge and perceive yourself as capable of completing them. Now, what they also said to the challenge group was, hey, you have the tools to complete this, you'll be fine. But we also have to be confident ourselves that we have the tools. So if we're lacking education, if we're lacking training, if we're lacking physical fitness, then we can kind of fake it till you make it, but at the very core of you, you're not going to feel like it's a challenge. You're going to feel like it's a threat every time until you bring those skills up to par where you know you have the tools in the toolbox to complete the task. Also, we can use that self-talk that the facilitators did to kind of give ourselves a pep talk. If we know we're coming up against a circumstance that we do have the tools for, but we're nervous about it, we can take a step back and say, hey, I've done this before, or my peers have done this before, I have the training, I have the physical ability, I have the education. This is going to be something that'll be over in a few minutes, and I'm going to perform at a high level and get through it. Whew! Brought it back around. Tailboard Talk, episode 1 in the books. I'm glad you came over. I hope you liked it. I'll be doing these weekly. If you have anything you want me to dig into and check out, just let me know. I'll talk to you guys soon. Be a force shifter.